Guys, all through this month of August, we are offering 2 MPVI2s to random winners that we'll pick from Fasterproms purchases. That is the software that I use day in and day out in order to tune vehicles, and it is absolutely the best on the market. Enjoy the video.
Show me the belly. Look at the belly. That's...
You want to pet it?
Has it kicked today? Oh, it did.
Feel that?
Man, look at that. That is, whew. It is coming together. Let's take a look at this thing, man. So when we set the body on, we had the limitations of basically the cab was hitting in a couple different places on the bell housing. Well, we're going to put that back in, but obviously have to add some material. As you were saying, the transfer case is going to be probably about yay high.
The height is going to continue the same, but it's going about to the center of that steering column is where the drive shaft's going to start.
Okay. All right, so where we have our seating position is just slammed on the ground right now. That is going to be a little bit higher, but not too much. Reason being is, well, our drive shaft is going to be coming forward, going to the front diff right there. That engine being back that far and that low is, that's going to be awesome. That is hard to really gauge that perspective. All right, so guys, trucks are notorious about being very front heavy and not having enough traction on the rear. And obviously with what we're doing with you guys and where we're positioning everything with that engine down like that, slung really low and towards the center, and with where we're going to put our batteries and our cooling and all that, that is really, we're trying to be closer to that.
We're trying to get that 50-50.
Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario.
Really close, really close.
And I mean, guys, we can tweak that until we get really what we want, and that's the whole idea, is we are trying to get this thing super well balanced. So we're obviously not going to be able to get all that figured out until we have our help from these guys. So hopefully, if we can get this thing done in time for LS Fest, and maybe you guys can come down and give us some tweaks at the that would be awesome, man. That would be really, 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 really be cool. But it is coming together. Hey. I just almost got an air enema. All right, this is a very, very different experience than sitting in a regular S10. So we are back quite a bit. We just checked out some stuff for a roll bar. We got to get that coming pretty soon, but man, it's actually getting kind of tight in here. We took a lot of space out of the cab, and it is a cramped experience. So check out where my feet are. It is where we want to have the pedals are right at the motor plate. So we got a lot of stuff to figure out, but this is going to be amazing. The gear shift of what we were expecting to have was actually kind of right about here, I think it was, for the Camaro. We might just be able to have the top mount one right there, and that would be totally good. Made some awesome progress in a very, very short amount of time. This is something to be very, very excited about. We got parts coming just about every day. Everything's hanging on that little itsy bitsy teeny tiny little ratchet strap there, and this is a little bit of a precarious position right here. So yeah, we're good. Don't breathe on it. We got all sorts of room up front though. That's exciting. Dude, that suspension looks freaking awesome though. Man, we got a lot of wiring and all that junk to clean up. There's just a lot of extra crap that can totally get out of the way right now that's never coming back.
This is still much
Oh yeah, there was a rat's nest in here that I'm pretty sure we still haven't gotten yet. It was like, it's all like straw and hay and leaves and nuts and stuff. All right, well the guys from JSM really, really knocked it out of the park. They put in some serious hours, and we went as far as we can go. I mean, we really only have just a little bit of stuff to do. I mean,
a little bit of tie-up stuff.
Yeah. We had so many different little hurdles and little problems with shipping or stuff that was supposed to get here or stuff that I had to get right on my end. But dude, you guys did an awesome job, and we came through. So this thing looks fantastic. We got the stance that we want. And next, I mean, we're really, once we just got to do our due diligence, get it all done, and then we'll put it back in your hands for the tuning aspect of it. Now, one of the interesting things that we'd kind of noticed was that there was an offset built in on the third link right there. So tell us a little bit about that.
So that offset is built in for the reason that when you get under acceleration, the right side wants to torque forward.
Okay.
That offset helps move that back and get an equal push from both sides.
Gotcha. So it's kind of just like a built-in, hitting a moving target in a way.
There is an engineering reason behind it. It wasn't just packaging.
Yeah.
I can't draw a straight line, but that's not it.
Well, it is really, really looking good. I mean, we got that Copo, Colorado out the back that has a 4-link, and I mean, dude, we're there, and we've done it on a much, much, much tighter budget.
The beauty of this is it's full bolt-in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Instead
that's
of
right.
Using a die grinder, you can put this kit in at home in your driveway.
Yeah, definitely very good point. So guys, very, very minimal stuff that needs to be done. Again, all this stuff was a direct bolt in. So they used all the factory perches and mounts. Hey, we were talking about possibly using this for some of our transfer case
I
mount.
think it's going to end up, because of that motor coming back so far,
Right.
this extreme application, I think this torsion delete is actually going to double up as your transmission mount.
Okay, it's there. It's something that we'll be able to utilize for one aspect or another.
Sometimes you get lucky.
Okay, so for your normal application, you were saying it was something like maybe 65-35 is the weight distribution on a normal
Correct.
Cyclone Typhoon or normal pickup truck that's going to have something similar like that.
And they tend to understeer real bad. So
And so we had that spring rate set up something similar like that, but again, we can customize that with what you're doing.
sure.
Very cool, very cool. We got our new hubs, new axles. Man, you guys got that in there fast. Seriously, that was fast.
It's a direct bolt in.
Oh, yeah,
Goes on
man.
like stock.
Heck yeah. These guys are excited about this build just as I'm excited about this build, and I hope you guys are getting fired up about it too. So we're trying to be able to, we're hoping in a couple of years we're going to have a lot of these type builds roaming around in the streets, and then people are really being able to utilize these guys' services and all-wheel drive and a late model V8 with a manual transmission. So save the manuals. So another thing though, these guys from JSM were like, hey, we could probably offer some sort of discount. So guys, if you're interested in pursuing this avenue, contact these guys and say something about Fasterproms, and they'll be able to hook you up. And
We'll throw in some surprises.
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Maybe some discounts.
Heck yeah, man. That'd be good. That'd be great. I'd love to be able to see a ton of these roaming around. You go to some events like Streetcar Takeover, and you got this little sleeper S10 in there that nobody has nobody has any idea that little sleeper is out there just trouncing GTRs and all that. That would be killer. So I'm definitely from the GM camp, and let's make this thing take off.
I'd also like to add that we know you guys do a lot for veterans, and we'd like to be involved. So if you tell us that you were a veteran and had service, then we're going to give you a bigger discount.
That is awesome, man. That is freaking awesome. So many times we get little DMs or comments on the videos like, hey, we're watching you from Afghanistan, or wherever you guys are at serving. So God bless you guys. That is awesome. And hopefully when you guys come home, you can do something like this. It'll be killer. So guys, a lot of fun about this whole build is trying to get deals on certain parts and components and kind of just seeing what comes up. So I actually had a friend down the road. He has a bunch of Camaros and stuff that he tears apart, a bunch of ZL1s. We've done some tuning for him. I've traded some stuff. Turns out he had an absolutely killer deal on some brakes. So these guys right here, these are off of a 2012 ZL1, and they are really, really big. And that's a two-piece rotor, so that is an aluminum hat to save some weight. Despite that, they are still pretty darn heavy. I want to say that's about 25 pounds for that front rotor. That is a lot of rotating mass, but we need it to brake well. And that right there, the rear, I wanted to say I think that thing was about 24 pounds or so. That is a lot of rotating mass. It might cost us some power. However, it is incredibly important that this thing stops, and stops very well. Now, those were designed for a 4,200 pound car. This thing, we're hoping this thing's going to be about 3,500 pounds, somewhere in that vicinity, but it should be able to stop really, really well, especially if you put a really aggressive pad on that.
Oh, you're supposed to flip.
Why are you doing that so suggestively? Hey, do y'all need a man to help with that?
Yeah. You're talking about your feminine self. Come on with it.
Feminine.
If you're tougher, you can come do it.
Wheaties never did anything for me, though.
Jeremy's a big breakfast.
However, a 5-hour energy and maybe like a pre-workout will definitely do something for you. Vegemite? Vegemite is really pretty good. It's got Thai and B vitamins.
Aunt Jemima, as in the cereal.
No, Vegemite, not Aunt Jemima.
Jeremy, nobody likes Vegemite, you nerd.
All right, I think you're going to offend like about 2 million Australians.
No, I bet you I won't, because even they don't like it.
Look, I've had an Australian over and ate Vegemite at my house. Okay, I probably still have the Vegemite.
You probably bought it and he felt bad, so he ate it.
Was he just trying to fit the stereotype?
No, he probably felt bad that you spent like $30.
No, I didn't buy it. He bought it. It was hard to find Vegemite here in the States.
Or it's chicken. Chick-fil-A.
Come over here, I fire off a desktop just to show them what America's all about.
Do you not do the same when you have house guests?
America,
Not down, up.
desktop.
I thought a desktop, it didn't have to be an up or a down.
Oh, it's up.
I can't say I've done a desktop at my house or anything.
Are you American? I gotta be your house.
Oh, actually, yeah, that has happened.
Possum in my yard yesterday? Oh man. If I have my
bow and arrow on me?
Oh, Peter Pan over here. Bow and arrow.
Okay, we are making some major steps, major strides. This thing is coming together really, really fast, and we are pulling all sorts of different assets from all over, calling out all the favors, and one of them here is Ken Wilkins from Standalone Harness. And this guy knows his stuff. I've been working with him for a few years, definitely helped us out on a number of other projects. This guy is a wiring wizard. Well, thanks for coming, man.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. So we got your harness mocked up here, and so that's going to be our ECM right there. We have a lot of different things right here of which we want to share with everybody. Now, this is a totally different animal than a Gen 3 and Gen 4. Now, Ken is here to help us with our Gen 5 harness, and that is pretty much the 2014 on up stuff. Now, most certainly, we are not on the tightest budget, but we're in the interest of being cutting edge. So that's why we selected the Gen 5, and it is a totally different animal than the Gen 3 and Gen 4. And Ken's gonna walk us through some of the differences there.
So from 2014 to 2016, they ran one type of harness in ECM. In 2017, it changed.
So that was the E92 to E92A, is that what that was?
That's your department.
Oh, gotcha,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but as far as the harness goes and as far as the engine goes, the easiest way to figure out what year you have is a 2017 motor will only have 3 wires here, high pressure sensor. If you have a 2014 to 2016, there will be 4 wires. Doesn't sound like much. Hey, Ken, it's only 1 wire. What's the problem? Well, the way the sensor communicates with the ECM is completely different. So what you get into is an organ donor like scenario where the parts are not completely interchangeable. So we have to be very careful. That's why when you first called me and said we're doing a Gen 5, I made you send me a photo of the
first
sensor.
thing. Yeah, first thing, absolutely.
Let's just start right there. So you know, from there, they're all basically the same as far as any other GM engine goes. They've got 8 coils, 2 NOx sensors, engine coolant temp sensor, a map sensor, throttle body, and they also control the alternator through the ECM.
All right, a popular question on one of our last videos here was, what is the difference between the LS and the LT? Now, I'm not going to be able to give you all of that at the moment, but here are some very basic things, and there is quite a few differences amongst the LTs. So they come in forms of naturally aspirated and boosted. Yes, the LS did that. There's more sensors associated with that. Now, some of the infrastructure, if you will, that is part of that is, yes, as Ken had mentioned, we have our high pressure pump right here. So what is going on is we have our fuel is coming in to our high pressure pump. This gets pumped up into the rail, and then we have our low pressure and our high pressure, and that is pre and post high pressure pump. So if we have a deficiency on fuel coming into the pump right here, this is not going to be able to support that. Our injectors are directly into the combustion chamber. That is direct injection, whereas before everything else was port fuel injection on all the LS stuff. Now, Ken and I were just talking about, hey, we have a different map sensor because I'm going to be using a, well, it's going to be a Z06 processor. I'm going to be using a 2015 Z06 processor, and that has just all sorts of different, it's got extra IETs, it's got extra map sensors and all that. However, that should not be a problem whatsoever. I'll be able to turn that off in the tune. Now, that's my department. If you specifically wanted a Z06 harness, Ken can be able to do that for you. For example, on the Z06, this right here is a map sensor, but it also has an IAT in it. So that is a 4-wire sensor. We're not going to do that. We're going to run a 3-bar map sensor and this guy right here.
On going further into that, like the LSA being the supercharged LS, you had a baro sensor.
Yes.
A IAT2. IAT1.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So the configuration in the processor is such that I have a drop-down menu and I can shut off that sensor. I can tell it that is another sensor or just running the other bunch of sensors, and that should be able to work pretty good, I believe. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I believe that'll be not a problem whatsoever. One of the other quick things is this has variable cam timing. Some of the LSs had that as well, but we're probably not going to be running our cam phasing. We are probably just going to keep this with a fixed cam and really be able to turn up the wick. So this right here, it's quite the luxury to have this backup motor that Laz is donating to the cause here, whether he likes it or not. engine right here that we can use for mock-up and be able to lay out the harness, find out where everything is going to be. You have the truck configuration, the Camaro configuration, and the Vet configuration.
Yep.
And they all have different areas where it lays out the processor. Right here, this is our truck configuration because this is a reworked truck harness, and we're going to be 24 inches from, you said, the
Coil number 1.
coil number 1, right.
Yep.
All right, the way that GM sets this up is that there are 3 different configurations on where the PCM lays out. So you said the truck, which is what this is about how far?
It's about 24 inches from your number 1 coil. So a truck harness used as a donor for rework will always put the ECM on your left front fender well. If we used a Camaro harness, it would actually, the donor car is the ECM's behind the passenger headlamp. It would put it right about here, going into a swap. If we're doing a C7 Vet donor harness, it'll put the ECM right on the back side of your front fender well.
Now guys, as I mentioned, this is not the easy road, and this is certainly not the cheap road. I mean, this has got tremendous potential. These engines are amazing. The LS stuff is amazing in general. However, the LT is a couple steps beyond that. So there are a unique amount of problems that are associated with that, and Ken has a number of different solutions if you guys were to tackle some of this on his website. He's got a frequently asked questions page of just all sorts of problems that you would encounter in doing this type of swap, or if you had installed something wrong, or just some of the pitfalls of this whole setup. In general, GM is pretty straightforward. They have a very, laid out setup in the fact that it's hard to mess up particular sensors that go in a different place. However, I had managed to do that on my Duramax when we put our pusher intake on there, because the alternator and the high pressure fuel pump were basically the same plug. But for example, some of the pitfalls that you said, hey, one of the number 1 no start issues is.
So knowing your history, we're going to caution you that you don't want to do this. This is actually very easy to do, and generally though it's easy to spot when a customer calls with a no start, because they'll say they don't have fuel pressure. And so basically we just let them know to deal with the transposition error, plug everything in, and you'll be back to normal.
Little swaparooski, I see what you did there.
So, and also to prevent that for the average guy doing the swap in his garage at home, we've got these labeled correctly, driver's 02, and the passenger 02 is also labeled on the other side.
Yeah.
Also try to make them lengthwise to where you can't.
Gotcha, you can't mess up, yeah. Yeah, I mean, everything is very well labeled, very out front, so battery, ignition, and different fuel pumps right there. We've got our, so we're going to be running a C6 Corvette pedal, and we got to source that. Everything's coming together really, really, really fast. It's almost hard to wrangle up all these parts as fast as we can. So Ken actually introduced me to Adam Pila. Adam Pila is the gentleman that tuned our Duramax, the Galaxy stomping daily driven Duramax. And I noticed on your shirt there you had Duramax, so I was wanting to ask you about some pretty cool projects that you've done. Now I know you had some sort of collaboration with Adam with the Duramax Camaro. Now that's pretty snazzy.
That is correct. Yeah, we took an LMM Duramax and put it into, I believe it was a 2011 Camaro.
Very cool.
Everything in the vehicle functioned.
Torque monster.
It was an animal. I have a Gen 5 Camaro LS3 that you tuned.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
And I got out of my car, got into that one, and I forever was disappointed from that point on. So,
we got to get you an LSA supercharger on that then.
There we go. Yeah, next. Probably the most interesting one in the last year was a project for the U.S. Air Force.
Oh,
a
that's
vehicle
sick.
they called a GARV, G-A-A-R-V. It's Guardian Angel Assault and Reconnaissance Vehicle. Think 2 chassis dune buggy with a Duramax and a Gatling gun on top.
That, not something you'd want to encounter if you're on the wrong side of it. It will get you and find you. That's pretty badass.
Collaborated with Pila Motorsports and DMAXSwap.com. I built the harnesses. They programmed the ECMs. Harness and ECM was test run on an engine dyno before we shipped to the builder.
So made stuff for the Air Force. You said you worked for GM for about
94 to 07.
Seen a thing or two.
Yep.
All right, so we had a different harness here, and this looks really a lot more, well, robust than what we sent you. I mean, it's a beefier looking harness, so why do we go down that direction?
Well, the GM harness, donor harnesses from the factory, are wrapped in what's called a PET tape, polyethylene terephthalate. It's high abrasion, high chemical resistance.
Is this what that
It's
is?
this material
Okay,
here, yes.
gotcha.
It has high chemical resistance, but what it doesn't do well is it doesn't support the harness or offer it any type of other protection. It does have chafe protection, but knowing the abuse that you guys were going to put this thing through,
Yeah, we're gonna do some stupid stuff
Yeah.
with it, I'm sure.
I decided to support the main trunk of the harness with a high temp nylon convoluted split loom tubing. I can't offer that as an option to most Gen 5 customers, but if you're building a stock motor or going up to about 600 horsepower, this would be overkill. But
Yeah.
we wanted to make this as robust as possible.
Yeah, I mean, we have heat to contend with. God only knows what's going to be moving around and all that. I mean, so guys, we picked Ken to do this job. This is his specialty. So if you guys decide to go down this road with the LT stuff, this is the man you want to talk to. Believe me, you do get what you pay for. Thank you so much for coming out here and really going over everything with us. Definitely check it out, standaloneharness.com.
Feel free to call with any questions. It's a lot easier up front when you're planning a project to give us a jingle. That way we can keep you from going down a road that you can't return from. Sometimes you just can't make things work together easily.
And got to hit up that frequently asked question page. They've got a lot of good tips on there, and you've got a couple other just instructional things in there too. So
I want to say huge thanks to the guys from JS Machine and Fab and Ken Wilkins. These guys both busted their butt in order to be able to give us the absolute top-notch parts. And that is what it's going to take for us to be able to make this thing an absolute rocket. If you guys do decide to undertake something like this later on down the road, definitely check out their skill set. These guys know their stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you. We'll see you next episode.
Go.